Hey, I'm Captain Eddie Castle and welcome to my shop. On video 120, which was a screw jar, we went a little quick. Well, not really. We put it to you this way, I talked too much and I had to edit out some things. So the part where I put the little recess in the cap didn't get added to the video. And it's an important thing. Guys ask me, how do you do this? How do you finish the bottom of a box or a jar or a bowl or whatever? That's all the same technique that I would use to put the little recess in a lid here. So if you'll stick with me, we'll go ahead and put one in. All you got to do is watch. I believe I have you on a pretty good spot. We're looking at the top of the piece. I screwed it back onto a bottom, and this isn't this bottom for this jar. It's one I had chucked up, and it was still ready, so I used it. But it's going to be the same thing. Now, I'm either going to put this piece of a corian product in the top, or I'm going to put a ornamented piece like this in that top. Either way, I'm going to create a recess and push this down in there. Now, use your imagination here for a minute. That this is the other end of the box or the jar. And I want to put a recess in it so when it sits on the counter it doesn't rock, and it gives me a place to put my name on the bottom of the piece. If it's a bowl, it's the ring that sits on the table with the recess. So when the bowl moves a little bit, it doesn't rock and it gives me a place to write my name. It's a finishing technique for the bottom of a piece. I'm going to do it with a fingernail gouge, which is a really handy tool. Now, let me see if I can get any closer on this and show you this tool. This is just a shallow fluted 3/8 inch wide fingernail gouge. I sharpen it on my Ellsworth rig with the 247 math, and that's on the Blackhawk sharpening rig. I put it in the same chuck, the same jig, the same 247 math, everything, and I put this, the outside cutting edge, on it. That's this line. This cuts right here. This doesn't cut, but it would get in the way from making sharp corners. So there's a second step on my Blackhawk, and the second step is called the Ellie Avocera step, and it takes this back off. Now, if you're a fan of Johannes Mikkelsen, who does the wooden cowboy hats like others do, but Johannes is really a nut for sharpening his tool, and I've got one. It's a Jerry Glazer gouge, and this is how Johannes sharpens it. This is a cutting edge again, up here, up here, and everything back here is taken away so you can make easy, smooth cuts, not bang a bevel a lot, and make the same cut. That's the theory behind this. I can make the cut, but I'm not banging a bevel, and I can turn corners easier. You'll understand more as we get into this piece. Just for grins, I went ahead and marked where the center is. Now, my tool there is a little bit higher than the center, only about 1/16 of an inch. I can tip my tool up and down to get there. If you're a novice, let's reduce the height of the bed by 1/16 or more, because it's easier to roll up to a cut by putting the handle down than to roll up this way. You might lose contact. Now, we're going to start way back here at the edge. Now, follow along with me. I am almost dead vertical with the flute. Then I'm going to roll them over until it turns on. And that's all glue I'm taking off right now. I'm going to push across. That just gave me a fairly, an alright surface. I'm going to go back and to the inside. I'm going to swing around. I'm going to get my center. See where I'm at on the center. and I'm going to start pushing out. Stop. Step out. Now, you didn't see me twist the handle to turn the cutter on and off, because my muscle memory told me where it wanted to be. I have to tell you guys, that's a 400 cut. You know what a 400 cut is? That means it's so good, I'd have to start with 400 grit paper to get that to move. But the center's higher than this outside edge, because I went downhill making that cut. Now what do I do? Remember the part where I told you that the stuff on the back here won't do anything but get in your way? If it was there, I couldn't start my cut way back here. I'm almost vertical, turn the switch on, and push through. I have to tell you that if you don't give it enough bevel, it will bang and you'll feel a ribbling or a chatter right in here. It's not a nice chatter, so you don't want it. You go back, you turn it on, you get enough of a bevel. If you hear it banging or feel it, you're just banging the bevel. And again, I can tip up and come to the center. That's a good cut. That really feels good. See if you can come in any closer and see that. See that cut? That's really good. I have a little ridge, light spore, a little ridge right here because I started here one in. It's a vicious circle. Now I've got this down where I want it. A gentle push coming out. I'll clean this up, flatten it out, and I will be done with this cut. And the bottom of my bowl, box, jar, whatever. Again, muscle memory says that's about where I want to be. I don't want to rub the bevel too much, but I need to rub it. I don't want to use a raw edge. I'm going to push out. There we go. That is the cut I'm looking for. That would be the finished bottom of my box, my bowl, my jar, whatever. But it could also be the recess that this fits in. Except I'm still a little proud, which is fine, because I can't pick this stuff up and throw it back in. I've tried this a dozen times, taking those pieces that came off that were too big and putting them back on. It won't do it. As Norm Abram says, measure twice, cut once. I'm going to go to my little multi-tool to clean up that shoulder. Do not forget, this sounds crazy, but whatever you cut off this side, you cut off that side, so it's 2 times that cut. First workshop I went to, I saw a brand new turner, asked the teacher, I see you do all your cutting on this side. When do you start cutting over there? May lightning strike me. He actually asked that, and there was no smile. Just so you know what kind of hellraiser I was, I told him Tuesday. Remember, I have a really good cut out here. I'm close. And it's a cut check thing. You could use calipers. You can use your your compass, whatever. You could use a couple of things, lay it out. I'm not in that much of a hurry, guys. I'm okay if I check it a few times. I'd rather check it a few than be wrong once. And we're not wrong, we're right on the money. How about that? I got to be a little deeper, so I'm going to take back my fingernail gouge and go in here and clean it out. Okay, now, if this is a reset underneath this piece, and this is wood, both wood, or just wood and something else, I don't want this middle to touch this piece. Say I have a poker chip. Oh, pardon me. A poker chip that, I can't say poker chip. I'm so adverse to gambling. My daddy always told me you can bet on a horse race if they let you shoot one of the horses. And they've never went along with it, so I didn't do it. You don't want the middle to touch, because if this moves or that moves, it'll pop it out. You don't need it to touch. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper. And here's a cool one. Before you set the piece, write something on a little piece of cardstock and put it dead in the middle. In case that if it does pop out, they'll think they found something. And then I know I have to go an eighth of an inch deep on the sides. That is if I want it to sit flush. Maybe I want it to be a little bit proud. Just by a little bit. I want to put that piece in. Before I do, I want to put a little super glue finish along this edge. This is the most durable finish I know, that's quick and easy and gives a good shine, and it really does. Now I can do anything I want with the rest of the piece. I can add some CA on the rest of it, but all I really wanted to do is catch that one edge, so when I glue the piece in, it sets nice. I did my test fit, everything works, it's good and clean. I have a soft touch on. I'm going to put a little bit of medium thick gel type glue at the bottom, not around the edges, at the bottom. Why not the edges? I don't want it to bleed out. To hold it in place, I'm going to bring up my soft touch. I've had guys say they've went to all the catalogs trying to find the soft touch and they can't find it. It's not in a catalog. This is a piece of 1 1/4 inch square stock with a 5/8 inch hole drilled in it and a tap from the Ace Hardware store and 3/4 by 10 tapped into it. I have a YouTube on this to make some. When you set up for it, cut a dozen. Get them done. This is going to cure up. It's going to be perfect. And because you bared with me on this, well, the technique I just showed you can be used to do the bottom of a bowl, a jar, a box, or anything, and it's much better than taking a scraper or something like a multi-tool or skew and trying to chew it away. Because then you're just doing scraping cuts. Here, with this fingernail gouge, you are making slices and compressing fibers as you're cutting in end grain. Much cleaner, much nicer. You will like the results a whole lot better. You have to practice it. And you can sharpen that fingernail gouge on my Blackhawk sharpening rig the same way you do your regular Ellsworth gouge. You set it to the 247, the same math, the same jig, everything, and you relieve the back of it by setting it down on a bottom rest. I have those available at my website, eddiecastellan.com. If you'd like to get more information on tools, cutters, or whatever, that's where you go. And this is a second closing to this video, because the first one, I gave away some tool handles to testers. And I'll do that again in a couple of weeks, because I had some other tools come in, or some other ideas for tools, and I'll need to get you to check them out. So until next time, I'm Captain Eddie Castellan. Thanks for joining me as we were making shavings. Take care now.